All right. Thank you for everything there, Wade. Well, we're back for another day at Citizens United. My name is John Restaino, and before we get going, we have a special guest. As you know, Dominic Saraceno will be on with me here in a few minutes to talk about his campaign for City Court Judge of Niagara Falls. First off, though, guys, how's everybody? Hi, Noel.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah.
You all right?
How are you?
Doing
I'm
good?
excited.
Okay, good. Wade, how's it going back there?
Doing great. How are you, John?
I'm good. All the technicals. You're doing great, Wade. Great job.
Right.
Robin, how you doing?
Doing very well. Looking forward to hearing more about Dominic.
Good. Yeah, so am I. So am I because, now, we got a lot to ask him. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk to Dominic. Please, if you're out there listening, watching, Robin will be in the chat room on Facebook. And if you have any questions for Dominic, she will ask them of Dominic for you. And any questions on the Facebook, Robin will be answering them. So, just as usual. Well, without any further waste of time, since Dominic's time is important, let's bring in Dominic Saraceno with us. Hey, Dominic, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, anytime. Thank you for coming in. You know what? I want to start for anyone of my viewers. Just tell everybody about yourself, Dominic, where you've been and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Dominic Saraceno. I'm an attorney here in town. I have a private practice, and I also work part-time for the Niagara County Public Defender's Office. I'm assigned to Niagara Falls City Court. I've been an attorney, a criminal defense attorney, for 20 years now. I initially ended up in Niagara Falls back in the early 90s. I was a grad student at the University of Buffalo. I was actually getting an MBA in finance, and I was working my way through school as a bartender at the Late Show that Jake Palillo used to own. It's the Rapids Theater now.
Wow.
Ended up meeting a girl from Niagara Falls and moving up to Niagara Falls. And then I ended up getting into law school I ended up getting a job as a financial analyst in Atlanta after I finished my MBA, and went to law school at night while I was down there. And then my wife at the time, her mother was getting older. She lived up here on Grand Avenue. So we decided it was the right time to move back to Western New York, and we moved back to Niagara Falls in the year 2000.
Right.
And worked for a small law firm for about 3 months, decided I wanted to be self-employed, and I opened my own firm, and I've been on my own ever since.
Oh, Dominic, the Late Show, huh?
Yeah.
I remember the Late Show.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because my first job there was as a doorman. But then I quickly realized that the bartenders made a lot more money. So I asked Jake if I could transfer into bartending, and he said, sure, no problem. And ended up helping pay my way through school.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun. The Late Show was fun at one point. We don't have any places like that anymore, but we used to have a good time.
Yeah. With the Late Show, we had the Pleasure Dome back in the 90s.
Oh, yes, the Pleasure Dome, too. I remember the Pleasure Dome. There used to be a night that I always would go. It was like... it might have been Monday. It might have been football night because it was only like the sports bar area was open. So
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
I think once in a while Thurman Thomas would show up.
Yes. Yeah, it used to be a good... Oh, man, we don't have anything anymore. All right, let's get off of that, I guess, and I will start asking you some questions.
Sure.
The first one, I want to read something to you, Dominic, and I hope it's just this has to do with running for judge. Like, the campaign you're in, the why it's so much different than another one. But then I'm going to ask you a question. First off, it says the candidate should not make pledges or promises of conduct in office other than the faithful and impartial performance of the duties of the office, announce their views on disputed legal or political issues. Now, my question after that is, it is political, right, Dominic? I mean, it really is. This is a political thing happening.
It's interesting because being a judge is not supposed to be political, but the process to becoming a judge is political. Right? You can't become a judge without interjecting yourself in a political process. But once you're on the bench, you're supposed to take politics out of it. Because imagine a legal system if people had an allegiance to a political party as opposed to a concept or an idea of what the law should be or what the law is. So, and people shouldn't be treated differently who come before a judge based on their political affiliations. So, I think it's important that although you have to exercise politics to a certain extent to get on the bench, once you're on the bench, it's very important that a judge set the politics aside and focus strictly on hearing the cases, applying the law to the facts of each case, and deciding every case in a fair and impartial manner.
Now, does being a Republican, a Democrat, a conservative, whatever it may be, would that be something that the voter should be concerned about? Like, does that tell me what your ideology is, or you know what I mean, or no? I just curious because I've watched these. But my brother was a judge, and I remember the race, and I just was always curious. Like, it's a tough one because I'm just curious for the voter. There is an ideology attached to these parties. Do you separate from them, or do you have to embrace them?
You do, and our system provides a mechanism to help us separate. Judges are the only positions in an election process that are allowed to run on all the lines. And we do that because we don't want judges having an allegiance to a particular party. So for instance, to get on the ballot, you have to get a certain number of signatures. I've got signatures for all 4 lines. So in June, during the primary, I'm going to appear on the ballot as a Democrat, as a Republican, as a conservative, and as a working family.
Right. Yeah, it has always confused me because it's such a tough, because there's even things that we can't ask, right? I mean, Dominic, there's certain questions, or actually you couldn't answer.
That's correct. I have a judicial ethics campaign handbook that is about maybe an inch and a half thick, mostly talking about what I'm not allowed to say. And there's, we're allowed to talk about our qualifications, but we're not allowed to, there was a judge years back that I don't even know if it was in this state, it might have been in Pennsylvania, but he said something like, put a real prosecutor on the bench. He got in a lot of trouble, and they almost removed him from the bench for making a comment like that. So judges are really supposed to be confined to just talking about their qualifications and their ability to remain unbiased.
Now, when they endorse you, like the whatever party, if a Republican Party, Democrats, whoever, they actually put out that endorsement. That endorsement for you guys running for judge doesn't mean as much, right, as an endorsement that would be from like a public, like if I don't know, the police, some police agency or some even a block club. You'd want that more than you would want the Republican or Democrat endorsement.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because in a judgeship, say the just as a hypothetical, say the Democratic Party endorsed me. That doesn't really mean anything because if I was running for city council, for instance, and I had the Democratic endorsement, that would mean I would not have to face a primary. I would just run against the Republican in November. But when you're running for a judge, the endorsement doesn't get you around the primary because everybody's going to run on all the lines if they get enough signatures. So the endorsement doesn't really help you the way it would a non-judicial race like city council.
And I'm here with Dominic Saraceno, who is running for City Court Judge of Niagara Falls. If you have any questions for him, Facebook in the chat room or message board, send them there. Robin will read them off. Tell us if there's a question for Mr. Saraceno. Anyone here, obviously you guys can ask questions whenever you like. You got a question?
Yeah. I want to know.
Hold on. Can you hear? Go ahead.
I want to know. He knows obviously about the D'Angelo situation. If he was judge, how would he have handled that by now?
Well, unfortunately, in a judicial race, that's one of those things I'm not allowed to comment on a pending case. So it wouldn't be appropriate for me to discuss the D'Angelo case on the show with you guys.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I got a Facebook
I was
question,
just gonna
Robin.
say,
If you really speak up,
From Cara Nakotra, she says, Dominic, what sets you apart from the other candidates?
Well, what sets me apart is there are a couple things that set me apart. Number one, I have by far the most criminal law experience out of all the candidates. I have 20 years of criminal law experience handling all levels of cases, violations, misdemeanors, and serious felonies. I've handled some of the most complicated criminal cases throughout the entire county during my profession. But what also sets me apart is the fact that I have a finance background. I worked as a financial analyst, and that puts me in a position where I can deal with financial disputes in city court as well as the criminal disputes. There's people. A lot of people don't realize it, but in city court, we don't just deal with criminal offenses. We have housing court, and we have landlord-tenant court, and we have small claims court. All of those courts require judges to make financial assessments of damages. And and out of all the candidates that are running, I'm uniquely positioned so that I can, if elected, go into city court and address any kind of case that comes before me. I'm also uniquely qualified because I would be able to walk into that case, into that court, and handle any case in a conflict-free manner. I would not have, most of my private practice over the last 20 years has been spread out over all the counties. I have not been confined to just Niagara Falls. So I will not have the conflicts of interest that some judges might have. I also don't have any relatives on the bench in Niagara Falls. So I don't have to worry about conflicts of interest stemming from that. And finally, what sets me apart from the other candidates is the fact that I'm the only one that has put forward a plan for addressing the problems that we have in housing court. I've gone to hundreds of doors in the last few weeks, and the biggest concern I'm hearing from the residents is all the dilapidated housing. I have put forward a plan. I wrote a very detailed op-ed on it. It was published in the Niagara Gazette, and I think it's a very strong basis to move forward. And it would be the first such plan in the state. And I'm the only candidate out of the three that's thought long and hard enough to come up with a plan and to publish it to the public.
Another question, Robin?
Yes, this one comes from John Fidel. He said, what are your goals as city court judge?
That's a good question. My goal as a judge would be to conduct myself in an honorable manner, to be fair and impartial, and to have a good judicial temperament, and to treat people in a way that I can have an impact on their life. And I think the part of the problem, I've seen this over the last 20 years, a lot of kids young kids get into criminal court and they get in front of a judge, and the judge a lot of things happen. Either the kid is desensitized and he's not afraid of the judge, or the judge is so scary that the child just kind of loses hope. What I think is important is to be able to show anybody who comes before a sitting judge that although your actions have consequences, your life still has hope. And I think it's important for people to know that we're not judged by our worst acts. We can always improve our lives, and the judicial system should be a mechanism to help, especially our youth, do that. Now, it's different if you're talking about, a 50-year-old man coming in front of the court who's got 7 felony convictions and 30 misdemeanors. You're probably not going to rehabilitate that guy. But for the most, I think people in city court have to realize that there's hope. And if I can change the life of just one young adult in Niagara Falls, then I think I'll have done a good job as a judge.
Yeah, that's a
great answer.
Yeah.
I'm glad everything you said so far, Mr. Saraceno. You said how you are. It's important to be to keep politics aside, be impartial, and to help, especially the people that are facing poverty and need, like you were just saying, with especially younger adults as well. Now, what would be instead of maybe a punishment towards, for example, out here in my home city in Lockport, we have a lot of petty larceny cases, and I believe my idea is actually pretty good. Whether if they could be almost pushed into the direction of vocational training or something along the lines. And if they meet something like that, then it's possible that they would not be charged. What do you think about a situation like that?
You know what? You stole the words right out of my mouth, because my answer to your question was going to be, it was going to lead to that. But what I was going to say is, in a lot of criminal situations, judges who don't want to put somebody in jail, they'll give them community service. But they'll give them community service in the nature of picking up trash on the side of the road. That's not going to teach that kid anything. But if their community service consists of going and getting trained in a field like HVAC or plumbing or electrical work, they can serve their community service, but also develop a skill that's going to allow them to support themselves and their families. And if they can support themselves in a way like that, they are not going to have to resort to crime. And the other problem, that's one huge aspect of the repeat petty larceny offenders. The other problem is a lot of them, are stealing to feed drug habits, and it's important that we give the treatment courts, like drug court, the resources they need to get people off of drugs, because as long as somebody's on drugs, they're not going to be, for the most part, a productive member of our community.
Thanks, Tom. I got a question myself. Violent crime here in Niagara Falls obviously is as bad as ever. 20 homicides in 15 months. Is there any role that the judiciary has in addressing that crisis? Is there anything that you could do as judge, or any judge could?
That is it's a big problem in Niagara Falls, and it's a bigger problem than, I wish I could sit here and say I have a solution to address violent crime, but that would be disingenuous. Violent crime, it's bigger than just one person. That's going to require a collaborative effort between judges, law enforcement, prosecutors, defense lawyers, and lawmakers. Because, we saw with bail reform, a lot of what judges could do became limited because certain crimes became non-bailable. However, a violent crime like carrying a loaded handgun is still a bailable offense. So a judge has a limited ability to, at the inception of the case, to set bail on an individual who committed a violent crime, who's accused of committing a violent crime. But that's a Band-Aid. That's not going to fix the solution long term, because, the problem is so pervasive now. Just simply setting bail on somebody is not going to address it. It's a bigger problem than when I first became a lawyer 20 years ago. I was lucky if I saw one. I shouldn't say lucky, because it's not lucky. It's unlucky. I was unlucky enough to get maybe one gun case every 6 months. Now I literally see 2 or 3 gun cases a week throughout Western New York and Niagara Falls. It's a big problem. Guns are easy to get. And there's nothing wrong with guns, but guns can't be in the wrong hands.
Yeah. I'll tell you
the
one thing now, Dominic. You are you're a defense attorney, right? Is that a public defender, right? You were for a long time.
Yes, I've always been a criminal defense lawyer, whether it was in private practice or for the public defender's office.
You know what? I don't know, Wade. What do you think of this, or anyone in here? I feel like that's a good thing. When a judge is more of a defense attorney than a prosecutor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just making that comment. I know you can't, Dominic. I'm just saying. That's a good thing. I think I'd want a public defender, somebody who was on that side, right, and not just
a public defender who actually cared about his cases,
right,
and not just going with whatever the DA said. Though. Right. So there is many.
Well, defense, yeah, and regular defense attorneys. I got to tell you, I always had a lot of respect for them, because that's a lot of times people don't want to. You're defending somebody who's, vulnerable. In a lot of ways. Oh, Robin, you got a question from Facebook?
Yes, a great question from our dear friend Gail Del Zappo. She says, tell us about living in the city as opposed to using an address to run for judge. Is this ethical for someone who wants to be a city court judge?
Yeah, I hate to avoid the question, but it's just something I can't address. I can tell you I live in the city. I live here on James Avenue in Niagara Falls. This is where I sleep every night, and this is my community. And other than that, I really cannot address things of that questions of that nature.
All right, I got a question. And this goes with you being a public defender. Do you think all citizens have adequate access to legal help and to the legal system?
No, I think there's room for improvement. I think there's an organization called Indigent Legal Services that has recently given a lot of grant money to public defenders' offices throughout the state, but they've tied a lot of strings to that grant money, and they're requiring, for instance, it used to be you could get arrested on a Friday night and you wouldn't have an ability to talk to a lawyer until the following Wednesday, and you'd sit in jail and you wouldn't see a judge and for 4 or 5 days. So Indigent Legal Services, for instance, has come in and said, well, we're going to give you a lot of grant money, but you're going to do arraignments twice a day now. So now people have gotten through different programs that are funded through Indigent Legal Services. They've gotten a lot more access to lawyers. They've made it easier they've raised the threshold so that in the past, an individual who made over $22,000 a year didn't qualify for a public defender. Now I think that dollar amount is up to $60,000 a year. So the state recognized that it was kind of difficult for a lot of people to have access to adequate representation, and they are taking steps in the right direction now to remedy that problem.
When we were talking about bail earlier, and I'm always confused on bail. Now, I know we had a bail reform, and that there's certain crimes that reform that doesn't count on. Like there's certain things, right, Dominic?
Yeah, they're actually enumerated. So there are charts that say these are, and they list the crimes right by the penal number, and they say, and I could get you a copy of one of these charts because every public defender's office has a cheat sheet that shows right. These are the charts, these are the crimes that a judge can set bail on, these are the crimes that a judge cannot set bail on, and there are exceptions, and some of it has to do with a person's criminal history also, but bail reform, petty larcenies you can't set bail on. But most violent crimes, the judge can set a bail.
My next question, you might have just answered that, was about what is the primary consideration on setting bail? Like, what, how do you figure the amounts? I know can you go above whatever? I guess what I'm trying to say is there a limit on bail that can be set?
Well, there are a couple things on that topic. Generally, a judge looks at two factors when deciding whether or not to set bail. Number one, is the person a flight risk? Are they going to show up to court? Number two, is that person a danger to the community? Then, when deciding how much when you're deciding how much bail should I set, it should be a number that's high enough that's going to ensure the individual will come back to court, because they don't want to lose that money, and they don't want their family to lose that money, but it's not really supposed to be so high that it's unachievable. And in city court, if a judge sets bail on an individual and that individual disagrees with it, their lawyer can appeal it to county court and Lockport, and they can ask that judge to take a fresh look at what the bail amount was set in the lower court.
Guys, we only have a few more minutes left. Anyone in here got another question before I got a few left myself? You guys good?
I was impressed so far.
All right. Yeah. Dominic, a couple more questions and we'll wrap it up. And I appreciate you spending this time with us on Citizens United. The next question I had is kind of more like philosophical stuff. Do you have any judicial role models? Is there anyone that as a judge or as a that seemed to be someone was a role model for you?
Yeah, in Niagara County, I have a couple judicial role models. Judge Angelo Mornello was always a role model of mine for a few reasons. I believed he had a great judicial temperament. In 20 years that I've been in front of him, he exercised restraint on the bench. He had the intellect that he was able to adequately understand the most complicated cases that came in front of him, and he always treated people fairly, in my opinion. Judge, that's on a city court level. On a county court level, Judge Sarah Sheldon was always a role, and she's, I think she hyphenates now, but Judge Sheldon, she's similar, very similar, always very fair to people. in city court, you're not dealing with, your role in a homicide, for instance, is very limited. All you can do is set a felony hearing, run a felony hearing and set bail. But in county court, Judge Sheldon presides over she did preside over homicide trials on a regular basis. She recently retired. I've personally tried several murder cases in front of her. And one thing I always admired about her was that regardless of how despicable the crime was that the person was accused of doing in front of her, she always treated that person in her court with dignity, no matter what. And it was always a very dignified place to practice. There's also, believe it or not, another role model of mine was a DA. His name is Joseph Cardone. He's the district attorney for Orleans County, our neighboring county. And he's made a huge impact on my career. And one of the things he said to me 20 years ago, and which I've never forgotten, is I was new at the public defender's office. I didn't know anything. And he was already not an assistant district attorney, but he was the actual district attorney for the county. And he said, Dominic, I want to tell you something, and I hope you take it to heart. He said, you may be on the side of the defense, and I may be on the side of the prosecution, but we are both on the side of justice. And I've never forgotten those words that Joe Cardone expressed to me that day.
Oh, we do have one more question from Facebook. It's actually from a candidate who's running for Niagara Falls Council, Tim Heather. He asked Mr. Saraceno, do you have any aspirations of moving up higher than city judge?
No, I'm 53 years old. So if a city court judge is a 10-year term, that would put me at 63. If I moved up to county court from there, that would be another 10 year. I wouldn't even be able to finish another 10-year term. So I wouldn't want to run for a county or Supreme Court judge because I probably wouldn't be able to finish my term. But I think a city court judge makes the most impact on the communities anyways, because it's the front lines. And that's why I want to run, because I'm in a position in my life where I think I can make an impact on the youth of Niagara Falls. I can't do that as a county court judge.
It seems like a pretty awesome job, 2 days a week, $120,000 a year, though, too. So I'd love that job. Not trying to be a
well, it's a full. Well, let me say this, because people think that a lot of people think, that, oh, hey, is he running for the money? I'll tell you, if you're a good lawyer and you've been practicing for 20 years like I have, that's a pay cut. That's not a pay. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I want to make a difference.
That's the answer I want to hear.
Robin, you got a question?
Yeah, I have another great question on the message board. It's one that I'm not sure you'll be able to answer, Mr. Saraceno, but I'm going to give it a try. Jerry Del Zappo says, I don't understand how anyone can have 12 charges of sexual assault, rape, sex with a minor, and not be taken into custody.
Well, can't answer. Yeah, there's no. He can't answer that. Yeah,
but I think
I'm not allowed to comment on.
Well, that's Mr. Yeah, we just can't answer it today.
Anything about rape is allowed to talk about?
It would have to be nothing about a case that's going on now, or anything about, you know what I mean.
Future cases?
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you got a question.
What about any future cases of a repeated sex offender?
Should they receive that bail reformed? Probably not.
They don't. No, because I don't even think it's. I'm answering the question for Mr. Go ahead, Dominic. They're talking about bail. You go ahead.
Bail reform is I don't know who's actually permitted to get bail reform right now. I'm hoping that it's not in cases of rape or anything of violence. Is this correct?
I can send you guys the list that we use that will tell you exactly what crimes are bailable and what crimes are non-bailable.
Right.
Okay,
and I'm pretty sure violent crimes aren't a part of the
violent felonies they're always bailable.
Right.
A judge has the ability to violent.
Another one? All right, Robin, go ahead. Facebook.
From Skippy Owen. As a judge, how do you professionally define being successful?
I think I already answered that. I think if I can make a difference in just one young adult's life, then I've been successful at my job. Personally, I think if I'm elected, I think I'm going to be able to make a positive impact on the lives of hundreds of young adults in Niagara Falls.
All right. Well, we have gone.
Sorry for the Vincenella question. The
Vincenella?
yeah, great interview.
No, nothing you can do, Sometimes, if you listen to that stuff too much, it's a problem. Anyways, yeah, Mr. Saraceno, when is primary day?
June 22nd.
June 22nd. And everyone get out there and vote, of course, no matter what you do.
Is there any events coming up, like with?
I don't know. A question here is, do you have any events coming up that we will see?
Yes, we're having April 29th. We're having a fundraiser at the Sheridan. All of our events are going to be listed on my Saraceno for City Court website. But the most immediate one coming up is the Sheridan event.
All right. Well, I really appreciate this time, Mr. Saraceno, and
thank
you're
you.
a great candidate.
Yes, I'm glad that we got to actually listen to you, like everything that you were, saying this time. I wanted to hear more of you last time, but I'm glad now that we got to listen to everything you had to say this time.
Yes, thank you for taking the time.
You might see us April 29th.
Thank you for.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity to get my message out there.
Thank you, Mr. Saraceno.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Take care. Well, that was Dominic Saraceno, who is running for City Court Judge. And everyone is available to come on Citizens United, of course, if they like. City Court Judge candidates, City Council candidates, I don't care. We're here. Certainly everyone can come on here. You're more than welcome. And he's done a great job there answering questions.
Yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't have a problem answering any questions.
Yeah, no, we did it. I'm happy that we got to ask him some questions a little different, and I'm thankful to the Facebook people that also chimed in and stuff. So now we're gonna switch to something else real quick. Wade, give me a second here before I have you pull. You know what we're gonna pull up? Give me a minute though to check something, because I want to read it for the people while it's up on the screen. Okay, it's up. No, we can flip it over to it.
Put it up right now. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Then I'm gonna read.
Okay.
Thanks, Wade.
Yep. There you go.
All right, here it is. Now this was sometime, I don't know when. It doesn't even matter. It was earlier in the week. Here's a message from our mayor that shows the out-of-touchness with the community, shows the issues, shows that you don't know what's happening. And I say also, I'm not just getting on the mayor's case, everyone in City Hall is out of touch. So here's the message, and I applaud this message. This is a great message by the mayor. A message from the mayor, and his family. It is with a heavy heart that I share the news of the passing of Niagara University student Patrick Romano. My family and I could not be more saddened by the news of this tragedy, and would like the Romano family to know we are keeping them in our thoughts and prayers as they navigate through this unbelievably difficult time. We also extend our condolences to the friends and classmates of Patrick Romano at Niagara University, who are undoubtedly also devastated by this tremendous loss within our community. Let me give you my reaction from the first, and I put it on a Facebook post. This is my true reaction. I really like that. That was a great message he put out. I mean, you couldn't. He hit it out of the park with that message and I'm so sad for the fact that Patrick Romano, real young man, lost his life in I believe in a fire, and of course the family. I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose your son or daughter, in anything. So the mayor there was outstanding. That's what you want, right, guys? That's what you want. That's how you want your mayor to talk. That's what you want.
Hear that many more times.
Yeah. So I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him some credit there. That was good.
Yeah.
The problem though comes to this. We had, as I was talking to Mr. Saraceno, 20 homicides in 15 months. I'm looking at the names of these people right here, all 20 of them. And the first homicide, guys, by the way, in 2020, it was February 15th, was Christopher O'Neill Pizarro, 3 years old, was beaten to death, blunt force trauma.
Oh my God.
And that was our first one. Nothing. I didn't. Now maybe I'm wrong. Someone correct me, but we didn't hear nothing, and we didn't even hear. No one came forward, from leadership in our city. I mean, I want to read. I'm going to read the names. I'm going to read the names. And some of these people we knew. I mean, it's amazing. In my lifetime in Niagara Falls, and I call that because I was blessed, really blessed, that never affected anything near me like this kind of violent crime. And I admit that's because I was blessed in my but anyhow, okay. I just talked about the little one on February 15th. May 7th, 2 people were killed on 9th Street, Brian Harris and Sonia Harris, the 3100 block of 9th Street. And I personally knew, I worked with the father of Brian Harris and was a great guy. Then on June 21st, Maurice Hill, same place, 3100 block, 9th Street, was also... and his life was ended. July 5th, Kenneth Mitchell, Walnut and 5th. July 21st, Jonathan Joseph, 17th and Pierce. Now July 22nd, Nathan Kraft was 12th Street and Ferry. September 3rd, Mariah Sade, 17th and LaSalle. And September 12th, Clyde Coleman III, that was Red House, Highland Avenue. September 29th, Frank Walker, 20th and Pine. Another one, September 29th, Shakaya Boyce, 20th and Cedar Avenue. William Harrison, he was 69 years old. He died. His life was taken at Niagara Towers. Then we go to November 16th, Ken Walzak, Packard Court. December 1st, John Brusso, 19th and Welch. And now these aren't their home addresses. This is where their lives are taken. December 15th, Thomas James Anderson, 600 block of 20th Street. July 6th, Ward Shawl. I hope I said the last name right. It's Shaal. Niagara Street and 18th. July 4th, Precious Cox, Hyde Park and Porter Road. And then we got a few that came at the end. Well, April 22nd, Shantae Saunders, Walnut and 20th. And now the ones we got Brevion Reese Jr., 500 block of 20th Street. And the last one that we have is Casey Frank, 400 block of Niagara Street. So there's all 20 of those names. It shakes me up when I think about it because those people lost their life in those addresses. And, guys, just taken. And I guess the whole point of getting into this is the mayor did such a nice job for the family of the guy, and it's horrible. So I just want to separate it. Like when I get into what I really want to say and what we really want to say, it has nothing to do with the NU student, and I applaud my mayor for speaking like that. But Wade.
But we need to have you, Mayor Restaino, speak that about everybody who has passed away in such a terrible way, not to pick and choose. These are the people you work for. These are the families you work for as mayor. So, we would like to see more of that, and we would like to see from every victim, and to past victims as well. There's going to be a event that the Mariah Wilson's family is going to be putting on as well, and we would like to see you there. We would like to see you help support it. That's on you.
Show the same sympathy for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it almost.
There's Mariah's picture.
It almost makes it worse that he apologized or gave his condolences to one family when there's 20 families out there that are hurting.
But it's a good start.
It is a good.
I don't want to say worse because I think it's a good thing.
Right.
Okay, maybe he's late to the party.
When it snapped in his head,
I know.
Hey, this family should get my condolences. They should hear my voice.
Right.
Shouldn't he have thought, and you know what? Actually, so should have those other 20. Maybe let me go back and say something to them.
Well, absolutely, because they're all families now are feeling the loss. Yeah. Everyone now has an empty room. I named 20 people here. how many hundreds of people did that affect? How many thousands of people that these people worked with, they were best friends with, not alone their immediate family, uncles, cousins, and all that stuff. And he sat silent for that, and I don't understand why. I don't understand. You know who can't be let off the hook either is city councilmen. They have a voice, and they act like they're muzzled. They always do. They act as though all they got to do is pass a budget. No, you are a representative of the city just as much as the mayor is. So is the city administrator. So is anybody else. So is the guy from the board of, the board of education. I mean, they're all.
If you, as a citizen, you're outraged by this, think about it the next time you go and vote. And think who said something and who didn't.
Exactly. I think more people need to start getting involved in voting for people in their city. Then it's almost like more important than voting for the president. Like, you live here.
Yes, bingo.
You literally live in the city. Like, these people that you vote for are going to be the ones helping you if you need it, not the president right now. We need a huge change.
Absolutely, because the president means nothing. I mean, really, like I've said it before, the President Biden or Trump or whomever. Yeah, right. We didn't get the garbage fee from him. So that's like, it's funny that whole presidential stuff feels like a diversion, because it's so. And people are still arguing about it
I wish
online.
people were more concerned about what's going on in our city, like the people that run our city. Then, because if they did, they would be just as outraged.
If they did, things would change.
Oh yeah.
If they cared as much as they cared about Washington D.C. And worrying about all that nonsense, things would. They would wait. Things would change because it'd be too much heat.
People don't understand half the stuff. I don't think that's going on in their city. They're not really paying attention to it, and if they did start paying attention, like you said, they'd be outraged.
Oh my God, they would. Yeah. We got a video.
Mariah Wilson.
Go ahead.
In the video. That's
I'm sorry, and I called her Mariah Sade. It's Mariah Sade Wilson, right? Okay, I apologize.
Mariah Wilson, Julia Jean, a great activist who speaks her mind a lot, is holding an event on. We're looking at possibly the first week of June,
right?
Where we're looking for vendors, organizers, musicians to come, celebrate Mariah's life, and help with supporting her family as well. Yeah. We're trying to have it on the 5th of June, which would have been the day before Mariah's birthday. So I'm going to put a video on there. This is still a case where we have no answers.
Right.
So if you are unfamiliar with Mariah Wilson, this will give you this will show you what
her daughter found her unconscious and ran to a neighbor. And upon discovery, the police found Mariah had been beaten to death.
She was beaten to death inside her home on LaSalle Avenue and 17th Street in Niagara Falls.
After that, it's just silence. Nothing. Besides the blanket statement, it's an ongoing investigation. We're covering all angles.
The family is asking why, after so many weeks, do they not know who killed Mariah?
We need to demand respect and attention when we share the stories of black women, when we share the stories of any victim of violent crime, and we need to make sure that all those victims get the same respect.
Yeah, and I think I saw legislator Owen Steed standing there. Another one who kind of stays silent. He's another one. Your legislators too. These are district people. I mean, say something. Everyone just stays quiet. This whole bunch of them, the whole damn bunch of them, just stays silent.
That's probably why people don't really pay attention or anything to what's going on, because everybody stays quiet and doesn't.
Even the newspaper, we don't have one that stays quiet. Everyone's quiet. What do you got, Robin? Something?
Do you think that possibly maybe we could podcast from there and help bring some of it to light?
We are going to do a lot. Okay. Yes. There's going to be a lot going on there. Whatever we can. I know, Wade, whatever we can do with Julia Jean.
With Julia Bronte right now, and we are going to make it so people do get the awareness. We're going to try to help with the event as much as possible.
Good.
If you are one of them people who would like to help with this event, please reach out. Right now on your screen, you see that we are looking for vendors, entrepreneurs, organizers, musicians, visual artists, and anyone who is interested in participating in this charity event. It's expected to take place in June. We would like to hear from you in April if you are interested in helping. And as you see on the page right now, you can see who to reach out to and the emails to reach out to.
Those poor little kids too deserve.
Yes.
Justice.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They deserve justice.
Yeah.
Their
This.
lives will never be the same
Right.
after
Oh.
what they witnessed.
And you got a landlord who's running around
Oh.
trying to bring them guys to court because you got broken windows, family member. I mean, it's really disgusting.
That's
You
why
know?
I feel like Dominic would be the perfect judge for this kind of situation. I really do.
Yeah.
Somebody who hasn't been from around here, and well, I mean he is, but like he doesn't have family that's already in the justice system, and you know he doesn't have those connections to where the conflicts of interest and do favors just because he knows somebody or whatever. You know what I mean? I feel like he's such a good person and would be so fair and just do the right thing.
I will tell you, I don't understand, and I keep saying it. I've probably said it, I'm like a broken record. I cannot get over that no one says anything.
I know.
And I'm talking from the city hall, and I'm not going straight at the mayor. It's the council and legislators. We saw Owen Steed. At least he was standing there, so I'll give him credit. But nothing to say. 20 people, and I would love to help if they needed. I mean, obviously, we would any one of these families or all of them, because they're all being forgotten. I mean, I think only 2 cases. I don't even know what. Maybe one case I see on here I know was solved, but it was so hard. It was so easy to solve that.
Yeah.
I think you know it was pretty much. But there's.
I think there was
I mean,
cameras.
I mean, Brian Harris and the Harrises. I mean, they got killed simultaneously on 9th Street, the 3100 block. That's like where there's a lot of apartments and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. A lot of this stuff happens in broad daylight, too. You know, it's not like it's being done in an alley at 4 a.m. These things are happening like we've never seen before. So I don't know. I just think that when these guys run, men and women run for office, you're not running just for a budget.
Right.
You know?
I feel like they think if they hand out like bicycles and stuff like that, it's just going to make people want to vote for them. Like,
Right.
You know, like no, actually speak to the people and all that. Don't just like sit there and try to buy people out.
Well, and that's what ends up happening because then they do that stuff and we won't see them again after they're elected until it's re-election time. Then another bicycle will be handed out, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, if it's a judge's race. And I think the silence speaks volumes. I don't know why anyone would even think. I know they can't do anything. We know the council, really, they can't bring the people back. They don't do investigations. But what would be so wrong as to just say, and not do it in front of a camera either. Wouldn't it be nice to see the councilman or the other mayor go to one of these people's homes and just talk to them? There's no need for picture. There's no need for anything. Now, maybe that's happening, and I'm talking like an idiot, and that's all happened behind. I'd gladly apologize if that's been happening.
I feel like if it did happen, then somebody would have said something.
Oh, yeah.
it's
There'd be
just funny
pictures,
that
and
the
video.
families that we've talked to haven't said, "Oh yeah, I received."
Yeah.
you
I
know,
just don't
visit."
get it, how that would be such a hard thing to do, to just go and say, sorry for your loss. Geez, that's all it would take. And we will do whatever we can. Like, because, the mayor and the city council, whatever they think, especially the mayor, he fire the police chief at any time, so, which he has twice or whatever, or force someone out. I don't know, man. It just makes me sick, and I can't get it through anyone's. Wouldn't you imagine? I mean, we were at a thing the other day. Well, we're doing when we were outside of the Como, right? We're out there. I get to see a city councilman who's now running for legislator doing that, jumping around like he just won the Stanley Cup, coming out because he wants to wave at the people that are at us.
Sort of asking like what was going
Yeah,
on
no.
or anything.
He was just mocking.
Yeah.
He was jumping around Vascio and just waving and thinking it was a big joke.
And directing it at Mr. Delzano.
Who's holding a sign? Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. But why wouldn't that guy go and say something to one of these people that were brutally murdered? A lot of them. I mean, it's not. This is ridiculous. Wade, you ran for mayor.
I did run for mayor.
You're going to do it again someday. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah,
Run for something someday.
I think so.
You're mayor.
Yes.
This is happening in your city. I mean, and of course you can't stop it. You're not Superman.
Yeah.
You know, and you could talk to your police chief, whatever, you know.
Yes.
Does it even, would it, I don't know. Am I nuts? Wouldn't you, I mean,
I'd be trying to help with the family, just like we're kind of helping right now.
Trying
to help with the Wilson family and, help them get these events happening and show that I actually care as a mayor about what's happening in my community to many disadvantaged people. It isn't about just rich people over near on you or anything like that.
Right.
It is about everybody. You realize that you work for them. It's just that you work for them. Be a public servant like you're supposed to be.
I want you to answer this, and anyone can. The word, you know what's sick? And I don't know how to put this the right way. The word taxpayer has become a weird word because it reminds me of there's taxpayers and there's something else. What's the something else? You see what I mean? Like, you'll hear this, I'm going to represent the taxpayer. But,
right.
And then I've heard it in different ways, like you're separating taxpayer from what?
Yes.
What is the other part?
It's the whole argument about rich versus poor.
So it's an economic, right? It's renting. It's the renter between the homeowner.
Yes.
You know, that's a bullshit battle that's been going on for a long time. Really, think about it. The taxpayer.
Yeah.
All right, great. You're the taxpayer. So what is that supposed to? What am I going to do? Does that mean the non-taxpayer should be what?
Go to hell?
Yeah, right. What are you supposed to do with them? And I don't have a problem with it, because some landlords get screwed. They're good ones, but there's a lot of good tenants too, and there's a lot of good everything going around. But the word taxpayer, I kept hearing it the other day, and I wish I could remember where, and it felt like it was being used almost as a weapon. It was weird. Like, what are you doing? Who cares? I mean, taxpayer, non-taxpayer, 9th Street to 20th Street to whatever, it doesn't matter.
It was so sad the other day when we drove by and in all the doorways were homeless people set up with their blankets.
Yes, and that was right on Ontario. That was right on Ontario.
Right.
Ontario, and we were just coming up Ontario, just about to turn onto Main Street, and in the doorway, I've never seen this before in Niagara Falls. Never, ever, ever seen this. It was people in that. The doorway is set back a little, so it would shield you from the wind and rain. And there was two of them sitting there, and they had all their possessions, kind of building it up as a protection because it was windy and rainy. And there was two more people in the same doorway doing it on the other side. Never seen that before. Niagara Falls has nothing.
They were waiting for the food pantry to open.
No, it was. Yeah, but it's late.
Right there.
Yeah, but they'd been waiting all night. That was like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah.
I presume that's why they chose that location.
Maybe.
Maybe Fossa, instead of donating bicycles, she can go donate some blankets or something.
Right, and if you're a councilman or a mayor
hearing this,
driving by this and hearing this, and how can you're in a position of power? So when many people are struggling themselves who aren't in such a dilemma as in homelessness, but they have struggles themselves. If you are a councilman, you are a mayor, you're driving by this, how can you just allow people to suffer without you stepping in and trying to at least figure out something like a temporary shelter?
Right. I'll tell you, that's why they're just in a ridiculous bubble. They're in their own little world. Because if you talk to a councilman, they say the same thing. I'm just here to do, for a budget. I'm only here for financial. What's that, Robin?
And I'm going to tell you what, the mayor has to leave his wonderful, pristine neighborhood and drive by that to get to work every day. So unless he's blind or is just choosing not to see it,
you know what it is, and you know what it is. For years and years and decades here, it was always on community missions. It's always on someone else. The city's been hands off, really. I think. I don't know. I don't know what they do with community missions. I assume they're on their own. They're their own thing. Can't wait. Let me ask you something. And I know you have a lot of experience in all this stuff we're talking about. Can a city? I googled it one time. Simple Google, looking how do other cities deal with homelessness? Who's been successful? Who hasn't? How to do it? What do you?
I see. I see. Like what I stated earlier on the show when we were talking to Mr. Saraceno. That is basically almost step one, where we have a big population of people in poverty, and they will commit a petty crime, something like that. These are the avenues to the root of the problem when it comes to stealing, these petty crimes, even grand larceny. It all stems from that poverty issue.
Yeah.
So therefore, we need a judge who will understand these things, try to push them in the right direction within vocational schools. We need a mayor, a council who will do that exact same thing. Now, out here in Lockport, we don't have as a big population of homeless as you see in Niagara Falls, but there are many steps that need to be taken, and the people and the nonprofits can only do so much. This almost needs government intervention.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, I have to say, and that would be one thing I would assume. I would hope that everyone would be in favor of. I know people don't want government, but that would be a good one for government to intervene in. Robin, is there something?
Yeah, I've got two comments.
Sure.
John Fidel says the old YMCA is a shelter, which is sad considering that is, our main
Right.
street.
Yeah. No. That. Yeah.
And then Kim Guthrie said there's not very much to do here in Niagara Falls for the younger generation. And I believe that's a problem.
Oh,
too.
that's a problem.
You have these kids just wandering.
We don't have night gym anymore. Remember all the night gyms we used to have? We used to have tons of them in the falls.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone, and because of economic issues. But now they're going to get $59 million is coming from the state. And I heard this little debate going on where does it go? One person, the mayor, has this plan that about doing something with that $59 million that will be a tourist type thing that will live on forever or something like that. Another one says, well, let's hire more police and more fire. These are more fire, more police, and DPW. I'll give them this. DPW does need, they're shorthanded as hell, and you can't pay CDL drivers to $13.50 to start. You know what I mean? So you got to fix that. We don't need more police. We already got more. Remember the grant that came in that's going to die in 3 years? So it's part of that money's going to that.
After the 3 years.
Yeah, after the 3 years is up. We certainly don't need more. The firemen. Holy cow! I don't think we need more of them, unless someone could tell me why.
There's a ton of volunteer ones too, right?
Well, yeah, in the town, but in our city, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think we have a problem there, but. You guys, I don't know. I know. But I know that we have enough. I think we have enough police. I think we have enough fire. I think I do like the DPW idea. I don't know, man. $59 million's coming. And
$59 million could do a lot for you.
Yeah, and I don't know what the mayor's situ thing I heard seemed to be kind of, that's a show me thing. With that, like you got to prove, you know what I mean? Just saying it, I don't know.
But from all the parking tickets,
but you know what I'm trying? Like that's a tough one. We've had a lot of promises of development and stuff for 30 years, 40 years, and we haven't seen anything happen. Yeah. The other thing is, the city council has to. We have a council race now, so we've got very lucky. We've knocked 2 of them out because they're running for legislature. That's a good thing that's a good thing. That's a good thing because we're going to get change. We're going to get change there. The next one is retiring. So we got a shot to make 3. There's 5 seats. We're going to have 3 new ones, and that's a big deal because that could be a majority. Is there something I need? Is there someone speaking over there, Robin?
No,
you got something?
It's just my phone is just.
Oh, okay.
I think we're frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Yeah. I was just gonna show you that.
Tech difficulties, or
Yeah.
am I not on right now? I'm just talking.
It's like going and then stop.
It's in live video interrupted. This brought, and now you should be on.
Interesting. Well,
No,
why don't?
it does that again.
All right, why don't we do this? We've already hit the 7 o'clock hour, anyways. We had a great interview with Dominic. You know, let's just.
Sorry about the difficulties, everyone. It seems up and going now.
Are we good?
Yeah, the last minute has been choppy. We apologize for that.
Well, why don't we do the numbers?
Yeah.
We had a great show, Mr. Saraceno. Let me read my numbers off to you guys that we all care deeply about, obviously. But there's a new one that we don't have on the list, but Lockport Cares out here in Lockport is 438-2273. It actually, it's a great name, Lockport Cares. It says it all. Okay, guys, it says it all. If you tell people a little more, Wakes. I know
Lockport
you're right in
Cares,
it.
is a great organization. We have a couple houses, two houses, one strictly for male residents, the other one for female, and female and kids as well. So you can call them 438-2273. They will give you temporary shelter for up to 2 weeks, and in them 2 weeks we will do the best we can to possibly find you employment, get you involved with social services if need be, get you do our best in them 2 weeks to find you a place. So Lockport Cares, once again, 438-2273. If you or anyone you know needs temporary shelter and some help, Lockport Cares on Genesee Street is definitely a place to look to.
Yeah, definitely. What a great. Now, is that city? What is that? How is that run?
That's run through nonprofit.
Nonprofits. Okay.
Yes.
Does city help at all with it?
Councilmen come in and help from time to time, but no.
No money or nothing either, I assume. All right. It's a great organization if you need help. The YWCA. The YWCA is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Phone number is 716-433-6714. Now, that is if you've ever been sexually abused, you've been raped, you're currently in a bad situation with sexual abuse, you are the loved one of someone who has been sexually abused, because you can call there, because it is hard. When you're the loved one of someone that has been, you can call there and they'll help you how to deal with that. Now, also, the YWCA is free, and there is counselors standing by. They'll counsel you from your home. Right, Robin? They'll counsel you right from on your couch. They'll counsel you from home. There's advocates that will come with you to a courtroom, to a police station, to a doctor's office, wherever you need. Hospital, they'll go with you.
Absolutely.
The YWCA, an incredible place. 716-433-6714.
And they're always putting together new support groups so
Right.
that you have a larger circle of people supporting you. It's really, if anybody's been through that kind of trauma, this is the place that you want to go.
Yes, definitely, and they're all over the country too. It's not just here in Niagara County. Anywhere you'll find a YWCA. Let's not forget about mental health. Mental health ties into all these things we've talked about. With homelessness, a person who's been abused, hurt, or families that have lost loved ones. It's all mental health, and that means depression. That means anxiety. That means all of those things. That you can think of. 1-800-662-4357. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have, you got suicidal thoughts or anything, please call them. They're there. Counselors standing by to talk to you and hear you any time of the day.
I was going to say, too, if anybody's thinking about being a kidney donor, that my friend is looking for a match. She's got stage 5. I think she's in stage 5 kidney failure. So.
Yes. Where would we find that? Facebook?
Yeah, she has Lena DePaulo. She has a thing on Facebook. I'll post it.
We'll put that on our Citizens
Facebook page. And it's Elena DePaulo, right? Well,
what I talked to you about.
Yes, and the one that I know her dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Please, if check out that thing. If you can be a donor, you'll save a life. And you'll save everything for everyone. And What a thing to do.
I mean, when you see her with her little boy, I mean, you just can't imagine her not being around.
To be the little boy. Yeah, we're going to help her.
Especially
We're
fighting cancer and they're surviving that and then that happened.
right. Yeah, we'll do something. Yes. Damn, I'm glad you brought that up, Noel, because I can't believe, man, we know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess.
I'll help you, Elena.
Well, I guess it's time to wrap it up here. I am very happy and glad that Dominic Saraceno spent some time with us tonight. Running for city court judge. Remember, it's June 22nd is primary day. Go out and vote. It's going to be a big election this time of year. Next week, we'll be back at the same time, Wednesday at 6 o'clock, guys,
Sure.
and see what else we can do. Take care, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.